As the coffee mug says, we're locked in. No one got that. A lot of people didn't get that. Locked in on the coffee mugs. Do you see that? Did you get a coffee mug, Kat?
Yeah, I love it.
The Pat and Jimmy Dalpiaz.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love mine too. Tom loves it for tea. I was wondering if there's any extras.
There is an extra. Would you like an extra?
Oh, yes.
You can have an extra, yeah.
Thank you.
Pat and Jimmy Dalpiaz, they made special
I know, it's the sweetest thing.
GloucesterCast mugs for us.
Plus, they're super sharp looking. I love that cobalt blue.
Cobalt blue.
It's very
big time.
classic.
Love
It's
it.
very classic.
I'm here with Catherine Ryan and Kim Smith today.
Good morning, Gloucester.
Jimmy and Pat will be back next week.
Yeah, they're back in New York.
We got a lot to talk about.
Yes.
First, I guess I have to say this because I don't want to forget. Cape Ann Community Cinema, they've been sponsoring 2 tickets. Anyone that shares the blog, this podcast on Facebook, you get a chance to win 2 tickets to Cape Ann Community Cinema. At the top of the blog, their listings are always in the calendar, and there's also a link to go directly to their website. You can see the trailers. He does a good job giving a little synopsis of each film that's playing there. The big news of the week has to be the election.
Oh, that was so exciting. It's a great result.
It is a great. This has been a trend for the past 5 or 6 elections that we've gotten stronger. I feel like our candidates have gotten stronger and stronger and stronger as far as a friendly city council, not a city council that tries to put roadblocks in front of everything. Right. And it bore out in, I think, most of the results of some of the candidates that may have said, things to the effect of, well, if they want to do something here, they can go someplace else. But those people did not get elected, and the people that got elected were the positive people that are doing great things. We got some fresh faces, notably Ken Hecht, who's a great guy. Love Ken. And we also got we have Melissa Cox, who we didn't lose, and there was a concern because she was
a little concerning because
she was she was going to be she would be a walk in the park in Ward 2,
right?
But
to make that transition
at large is tough. There was 7 for 4 slots, so for her to make it. So we don't lose her, and then we get an addition of another powerhouse, Ken Hecht.
Yeah, and also, did you know that Melissa was the top vote getter too?
Melissa, and wasn't Jen Holmgren, who ran for the first time, the 3rd vote getter?
What was she third? I don't remember.
She was up there. She wasn't the. She didn't. In other words, Jen Holmgren didn't sneak in. Like she wasn't the 4th out of 4, just making a thing. Right. She was actually higher than the 4th person. Yeah. So we have congratulations to our mayor, Sefathia, councillors at large Melissa Cox, Paul Lundberg, Jen Holmgren, Jamie OHara, ward councillors Scott Memhard, Ken Hechtorino, we call and Steve Stinky LeBlanc, Val Gilman, and Sean Nolan. We call Ken Hechtorino because Kate and I we run into him at Happy Belly all the time.
Yeah.
And we were talking before.
Which is right around the corner from him.
Oh, it's directly across the street from him. So we were talking to him when he was running, and he said, "I may have to change my name to Ken Hechtorini or Ken Hechtorino because I'm in Ward 2 with all these Italians. So that might help me get over the hump." So we always come.
He has a good sense of humor.
Oh, he's awesome. Yeah. He's awesome. So anything else you guys want to add about the election?
Yeah. So I was at the doctor's with my son who got hurt his toe. We usually go to see the results and they handwrite them on the board at City Hall, but we couldn't because we were at the doctor's office. And I loved the digital thing, the post that you put up that had all the live results coming in.
Well, Sefathia sent me the link.
Is so digital.
Yeah.
It was great. That thing was great to be able to. Kim was there. We had miscommunication because
I post, but it
wasn't going through or something because at 8:30 I didn't have results from her.
Right.
I didn't have my phone. I was on my iPad, and I think you texted me and saying, "Can you grab my Instagram post?" I didn't see that because my phone was put down, and I don't get texts on my iPad. So I saw that she hadn't posted yet. So I went and I just took screenshots of that digital thing and posted them as a sticky. As it turns out, her thing came in like 10 or 15 minutes later, or close to the same time.
Well, I have trouble posting. So I realized like a photo of mine can go right to Instagram from there, but it cannot.
Go through the WordPress servers?
Yeah, go through the WordPress. So I was up on the 3rd floor trying to post from up there because I have better service up there, and it just wasn't going through. Yeah. So then I just posted it without the picture, then ran home and put the picture in with it.
Yeah, it was just like, do you know what? Sometimes if you're having a hard time going through that, sometimes the best thing you can do is to turn off your Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay.
Because what happens? What happens is a lot of places that have private Wi-Fi networks, your phone identifies that there's a Wi-Fi there.
Oh, okay.
And it's trying to jam it through there rather than use the phone company's data.
Oh, okay.
And it hangs. It won't go through. So if you shut your Wi-Fi off, it knows it has to use the cellular to get the data through. Just so you know for the next time. Because sometimes I forget that, and I'm like frustrated trying to get something through. I'm like, I'll just shut this off, and then just press refresh, and then it goes.
It was very frustrating, but anyway, so
it all worked out.
It all worked out. It was. I really enjoyed being there and seeing just the joyful results of everybody. It was.
I'd love to make it to one of those because there must be the excitement and the disappointment, like just the drama of it all. It must be just amazing. Yeah. November 2nd, like literally, like between October, beginning of October and end of November are the craziest times down here. I'm just cooked, And anyway,
how long are your days right now? They're like 2:30 to 7:30.
Well, a normal day I get is 3:45, and usually we get out. By the time we walk out, an average day is around 6:30, 6:45. Friday I got out 7:45. It's just,
so that's like just a 14-hour day, right? Just your average 14-hour day.
It was so chilly this weekend, and when you see the fishing boats out.
Yeah. Well, they're out right now because this is, like I said, that's why we're so busy. So much gets landed October, November. It's the biggest, people think that our busiest time is the summer. No, the busiest time is October, November every year. That's like, there's the massive movement of lobsters, and like I think it's 50% of the lobsters for the year get landed in October and November.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Where does it all go? To like canneries?
Processors.
Mostly, Interesting.
Yeah. So yes, what was the veteran service? Because you went to that, Catherine, right?
So they have it at the field house at the high school, and Adam Kukuru and Lucia Miro and the whole Cape Ann Veteran Services plans a festive and significant fun event. I would encourage you to go. I was wondering if more people went because of the commander's letter to the editor. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, but it was packed. But they integrate, the Sea Cadets, and there's the little kid, the Gleeful Eagles or something. Little kids singing patriotic songs, and the Docksiders, and it just moves briskly along with quick speeches and beautiful music.
Wow,
it's very, very moving.
You said that they did the each branch of the military's theme song.
Yeah, and then they stand up, and the field house was filled up into the bleachers.
That's
and down.
Great to hear.
Yeah, and then all over the place you'd see young people, old people standing for their different service.
And like you said, that way they needed to learn, who was in the military.
Yeah, you wouldn't know because you would see them dressed up. Like there were people I've seen every day, and I didn't know they served in that particular branch. And but anyways, I think they did an excellent job, and it was fun. I encourage.
You said, I know, the way Catherine was talking about this before we started the podcast. She's very enthusiastic, saying it wasn't just a drudgery thing to go to pay your dues. You actually said it was like fun. You were psyched you went.
So much. And then even I think that the way that Adam brings in honoring older people, but then also celebrating people that are in our midst now, and at one point towards the end they have different people come up to the mic and read off the names of people currently serving in every branch.
That's great.
So you see the parents or the brother and families stand up, and it was just nice.
That's a wonderful thing.
And we have really talented musicians. So that was the other thing, just
the Docksiders.
Yeah, and then 2 beautiful vocalists, and it was good.
Good.
Go next year.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to make it nice. Based on what you said, I'm gonna try to go next year because I just kind of thought it was this for kind of not just. I mean, ignorance. Right. My ignorance is that I didn't realize that it was such a great.
Well, and when it's such a vast floor, when different people were standing up, they go like that, like to their buddy that was way far away. So cool. my son was actively watching exchanges like that, and
awesome.
And there was one little boy that was held up high that did the Pledge of Allegiance, and he was slightly off cadence, so his little sweet voice was just the whole way through, and that kicked off the whole thing very nicely.
Very cool.
So good.
I think the other big news of the week was the boat.
Oh,
the boat. The
continues.
Yes.
Wow, it continues.
Well, I don't know. I think Fishery Nation picked it up or something like that.
Oh yes, the referrals from them were overwhelming because the post that we stickied at the top didn't get as many with Craig's unbelievable drone video.
Yeah, the drone video was beautiful.
It was beautiful, but they picked up your post. And overwhelming amount of Fishery Nation. Jesus, we got to send more stuff to them.
Yeah, it's like...
No, really. I mean, that's how we built the blog originally. Was just understanding. Right. It was understanding who has, eyeballs and putting good stories that they would be interested in front of them. So I have to remember to send stuff to them.
Okay, because they do have Craig's post in their Fishery Nation thing. They did a whole paragraph, and then they have like all these links, links to Craig's video, links to the article that was in the Herald, and links, and that the end one is the link to my little short video and photos. So, but it was very...
So I'm going to give a little background. So this is what... So what was it, Friday morning? Was it Thursday?
Friday, because let's see, I had to go into work.
No, it wasn't Friday morning. It was Thursday morning because I didn't have boats fishing on Friday. Thursday morning. We come in at 2:45, and there was a boat at the dock. We're going to put bait on them, so it was 4 a.m. The guys on the boat. No, they hadn't gone fishing yet. They were listening to the radio, the VHF, and the VHF they were talking like, "Where's the Coast Guard? You guys got to get out here. We need you. Wow. We need you out here." So you heard it kind of going on, and they're saying Donnie Lowe, the Ann Rowe. It's funny. Donnie Lowe is the captain's name. The Ann Rowe is the name of the boat. Went aground on Eastern Point. To me, it's still I don't want to speak without knowing what actually happened, but it's very strange because this guy is a capable captain. He's an older gentleman. There was no foul play, and I will just go on record. I don't know the guy personally, but I just know the guy as a old school fisherman, not a drug person or anything like that. So there was no, I don't know why. I don't know how we went up there, but I know some people automatically he must have been on drugs or something because some people go to that place. That I can almost guarantee you that wasn't the case.
Yeah, well, I can tell you something. Well, you go ahead, but I'll tell you.
Was it the steering?
I don't know what it was, but what I'm saying is that it was a full moon and it was astronomically high tides.
King tide, right?
Yeah, and so when you're standing there, like that's an area where I'm always, because that's where the monarchs pour in, that exact area basically when they're there, so I'm very familiar with it. The rocks are flat and they go out for a way long time. So if you saw the shore and it's pitch black out at 4 o'clock in the morning, right? Then and it was super high tide, you might not know that those rocks are there, or how you might get
this guy's been fishing for so long.
You might get a little misjudged, but I could just see I don't know. I could see how it could happen where people, because the rocks are flat and they go up for a really long time. So
my complete guess is it was a mechanical failure because these fishermen that have been fishing for 30 years or whatever.
No,
they know that. Believe me, they've gone in and out of this harbor on every tide.
Well, what about the other boat that got stuck there? I mean,
the other boat, I know the situation on that, and that was...
Was that steering or was that mechanical? No.
That was in the middle of the night. You know, I think that it was I think that was a different kind of thing that happened there.
Okay. Well, anyways, go ahead. Well, anyways, so I got a text from you at 4:30.
So we talked about this earlier, how like the millennials will never think. So I text the kid just so she'd have it when she wakes up, because I know you kind of get up early to go cover things.
And lots of times I am up at that time.
And I said to Ann Rowe, I go, and you go to Eastern Point. That's kind of your beat, right? So I said, I texted Kim and I said, the Ann Rowe is hard aground on Eastern Point, you know, just to give her the information, because she likes these. She gets into these kinds of things. I
think it's, you know,
it's interesting.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. So lo and behold, she got some great photos right off the bat.
Well, I was shooting right into the light, so unfortunately, like if I'd read your text earlier, I could have gotten some amazing shots. But by that time, I know. By that time the sun
before the sun had really come up.
The sun was up for an hour. So, and also I was running to work, so I couldn't like climb out onto the rocks. You know what I mean? I had to just stand where like a farther away vantage point.
And you texted me and you said, "I'm sorry, I have to get to work." In my head, you didn't get anything. In my mind, like the way I read your text was, "I'm sorry, I have to get to work." Like you didn't get anything in my head. We didn't have the story. And then later on, I click on the blog and we're like, she got all this. She got all this great content.
I couldn't stay there all day and wait for it. But then, so I'm driving home from Cambridge and I'm looking at the blog, going, there's nothing about it freed. I wonder if it's still stuck there. So. Instead of, I had all these errands to do and stuff like that, but my meetings went really fast, everything went really fast, so I'm like driving home and I'm going, I'm going to go straight to the lighthouse just to see if it's still there, because Craig's video wasn't up yet or anything like that. So I get to the lighthouse and all the action was happening, because they had started to try to tow it and stuff like that. So
they had lines on the bow, and they're trying to pull it. The boat that was pulling it didn't seem like a very big boat.
It was a very small boat. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
But also the way I was trying to figure out why they didn't, because it was an hour before high tide, why they didn't wait till high tide. But the surf was so rough.
That's why.
Maybe I was thinking they were worried about it kept getting smashed on the rocks.
That's exactly why.
Further back.
That's what. If the surge, we had just had a northeaster for 3 days.
Okay.
The waves that were coming in, that would have potentially battered it
up. So anyway, it was, I got there right at the right time. I was only there for 15 minutes before they, got it off
you
the
lucked
rocks.
out to pull, because you got the video of them getting it off the rock. It was amazing, that first pull, the boat kind of went over, and you saw it suddenly stop. It obviously hit a rock on the other side, and then it was one or two pulls, and finally righted itself. And it's, a lot of the fishermen we were talking about, the power of the sea. Yeah. And this boat is not a small boat. It's not a huge boat, but it's not it's a big, it's a larger lobster boat, heavy duty boat. But you see the way the ocean just tosses it around like a Clorox bottle.
Right, like a toy. It was it looked like a toy in a way.
Yeah.
The way it was didn't have any fighting
so
chance.
It was no, you're right. The boat was not going to determine what was going to happen there. It was the surge was going to tell you where that boat was going to happen.
So then after they freed it, it took 10. Actually, once they started to pull it, then it was very fast. And then the two boats joined, the Ann Rowe, and then another boat came right up to it. And then I saw somebody get off the Cape Ann Divers 2 boat, I think it was. Somebody must have been the captain or somebody. Get onto the Ann Rowe. So the surf was rough, so that was kind of tricky watching the guy in the middle of the ocean getting onto his boat, and then he just started right up and powered out itself. So
it's a lot less damage than I would have imagined. Just a little bit on the keel.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
It seemed like it. From Craig's video. Yeah. You could see there's a little divot out of the keel. So he'll have to have that. The surveyors come and inspect it to make sure to see where.
It's all very lucky the way. Very I don't know.
Yeah, kudos to Craig as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that video was awesome.
I love
It's
it.
beautiful.
David Calvo, so on Facebook, I don't know if you guys saw this. David Calvo suggested that we should have a contest for Gloucester writers. That's the opening scene.
Oh.
What happened.
That's great.
Right, what happened.
Wow.
And I said that if Craig wants to do the post, I will provide a good morning Gloucester prize pack.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah, very cool. I thought that was a good idea. I never even thought of that. Like, from a writer's perspective, I was always thinking of photographers, videographers.
Yes.
Never think of that medium. But there's, certainly a lot of writers around here.
Right.
So I'll talk to Craig. If he's too busy to write the post, chances are I'll write the post and create another post around that. So at the time, so James and Craig, I was sitting in the office like mid-morning and just before lunchtime, and James and Craig walked in. James and Craig don't walk into the office together
Right.
randomly, and, like they're like, "Oh, we want to show you something." So I'm like, "What do you mean? What are they going to show me?" Right? So they're together. We want to show you something. So unlike on my birthday, my surprise party, I had no idea about that. I had it's like, what is going on here? So I go outside, and they had the Weber fire pit set up, which is very rare. And the one with the wooden handles, they haven't made those.
I didn't even know they had one. Wow.
Right, you wouldn't know that because they're very rare. But the ones with the wooden handles, it's super rare because Weber hasn't put wooden handles on anything for like 20 years or something. And this was like new. There's not a speck of rust on it or anything like that. I don't know where they found it. Someone had this stored away
In their basement
or whatever.
Garage,
and they went and they traveled. I don't know where they got
is it
it.
out there right now?
No, I have it at the house all covered up. But super generous.
Super protected for winter.
But he didn't tell me. Craig didn't tell me. They left here, and then they went over there to do to create the drone video.
Oh no.
Yeah. So we got lucky. That was I've had a hell of a week. I've had a hell of a week.
You have.
Oh my God! Did you see the grill that the guys from the Weber Kettle Club sent me?
Is that who gave it to you? I didn't.
The ivory one?
Yeah, I just saw the beginning of it, and then I was like, "What happened? Who gave it to you?" It is from the Kettle Club.
The Weber Kettle Club.
Nice is that?
Huh?
That is so nice.
It was unbelievably
So
generous. They only make these. They only sell these in Canada and in select couple countries in Europe.
I feel like you've mentioned the ivory grill.
It's been my Weber Grill grail for. I was gonna drive this winter up to Montreal to try to get one. Because they're so beautiful, they're so classy. It's like a mid-century kind of color. You know what I mean? That color. Yeah. It's so gorgeous, so unlike anything.
Anything with color, right?
Yeah, so gorgeous, so classy. So so I had a really difficult day. My back was like when I describe, like, it felt like someone took a sledgehammer and hit me in my lower right back, the hip back area. Like, and we had a ton of boats out on Thursday because they called for bad weather on Friday and Saturday, so all the boats were going out. They were going to stay out late. So and Kate was away. Kate was down in Orlando for business. So I didn't get out of work until like 7:45, and I was kind of down because I was hurting, and I was like, I all day long I was just wondering if I was going to be able to get through the day at work, because it was
so much
fiery bad pain. A person that worked for someone else would have taken the day off, and no boss would have told you, you don't have to be here. But like when it's just you and your cousin, that you have to, you just power through it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I get home and it's pitch black because we don't have any light this time of year, and it's 7:45, and there's a box underneath the deck, and the box is, I recognize it as a Weber kettle box, but there's no light, and I just saw it. I'm like, you know,
There's light emanating.
No, there's no light. I mean, I just saw I just saw the. I didn't know what was in it. I just said, where did this come from? My mind is racing, and so I get up to the box, and there's still not enough light to me to see what it is. I take out my cell phone flashlight, and I shine it on the box, and it's the ivory Weber Master Touch from Canadian Limited Edition Master Touch, and so then I shine it on the top, and the packing slip says Joseph Ball, who's this guy who's in the Weber Kettle Club from Doraville, Georgia, who I made a Super Bowl bet with. That if the Patriots lost, I was going to have to ship him 5 lobsters. If the Falcons lost, he was going to have to ship me stuff relevant
from Georgia.
From Georgia, he ended up sending me some pecans and some peachwood.
Yeah,
nice,
awesome stuff, and we became friends. Him and his wife visited this past summer.
Aww.
I took them for dinner at the studio, treated them to a nice time. So I'm like, immediately I got on I messaged him. I'm like, Joe, you did not do this. I'm like, you didn't do this. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. I was like, well, I'm just gonna sound weird. I like very emotional, like because I had a tough day. I was just like, I'm like, oh my God, what a thing to come home to. This like I couldn't dream this up in a million years. I couldn't dream this up. Like first the fire pit, then this. I'm like I'm like so blessed. All the same day. This is like Thursday, right? This is the same day as the. So I get a hold of him, and he's like, it wasn't just me. I can only give you one hint: Weber Kettle Club, and pay it forward. So this club is unlike any like online message forum that I've ever been a part of, and I've been a part of a lot of them. There's always like infighting, like Cape Ann Online. There's like the the liberals and the conservatives always like just tearing each other apart, or people all this. The ton of negativity around like these online most online communities. There's always like a rabble rouser, a troll, that's what this internet troll thing, but it
kind of keeps them going
but this Weber Kettle Club, there's like none of that, and like there's a ton of sharing of information, and if someone needs parts, like I have a certain part, some other guy needs it in Florida. Like I just ship it to him. I don't even ask for money for it or whatever. And it's just this. But I never imagined.
It's a grill support group.
I'd never imagined like they would pitch in to buy a $275 grill for me.
Wow,
that's like that's bananas, right?
Yeah, that is really But you know what? I'm talking about forums like that, like. When you set the tone from the beginning, you know what I mean? Like, and also they have something very positive to be around. Like, how can you fight about grills?
Oh, there are times where like the acquisitions of grills or something could set people off. There's a rare grill that shows up here and a couple of members fighting over it, but nothing like that, which is very helpful.
That's so awesome.
It is. It's just a crazy.
I can't think of anybody who gives more out, so it comes back to you.
We all work together. So there's that. But thank you for your coverage. Thank you for getting over to the lighthouse and.
Oh well, thank you for telling me about it. Because it's exactly where the monarchs pour in every day, and I was just like. I see there's something about how things are funneled there. I mean, not the boat being funneled there, but
it was crazy. That spot, you could see there's a little ledge that lifts up.
Yeah.
Where that boat is the same spot where the Miss Fern went aground.
Right? So
that was it. And you know what? When that happened, like on Thursday, I'm like, that was just a couple years ago. The Miss Fern went aground. You know what year it was?
What?
2011.
See,
because I look back to the post, I would have told if I would have sworn up and down that it was like 2 or 3 years ago. Well, that's how fast time flies.
I had just started writing for the blog then because it was grounded there, and I had just gone down to the lighthouse to check on butterflies or whatever.
It was September 9th, I think it was.
And you said, "Oh, hi, Kim, you know, and what are you doing down here? And I said, and it was right around that time either I just started or started after that writing for the blog.
That's funny.
Yeah, because you were down there taking photos.
Yeah, to get there, you had to really, I mean, it was pretty far out there. You had to climb over a lot of, like, those rounded rocks.
It's very,
it could be treacherous.
It could be treacherous there. Yeah. Trust me, I've slipped and, you know, lost my balance, and I've got, like, sometimes I have, like on one hip I have my long lens, on the other side I have my movie camera, around my neck I have my smaller camera, and then when I add a tripod to the mix, because I've tried to get like tripod shots looking towards the lighthouse, and it's scary on those rocks. It is scary. It's scary.
You brought up Darlene Love, and can you give us a little, is playing at the Cabot on November 25th. Tell us a little bit about Darlene Love.
Well, she's just an awesome person. I think a lot of people don't even think Christmas has started until they hear her song, Christmas, Baby Please Come Home. And
Baby, can you sing hum a little? just one little thing so people can pick it up.
It's Christmas, the snow's coming down. Those are the lyrics of it.
Isn't like baby?
Yeah, baby, please come home. I mean, it's.
Da, 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 da. Is that the one?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know. There's a whole huge story about her. Like her career. She had a fabulous career as a backup singer with this group called the Blossoms. I'll try to be really fast about this. Yeah. Then she stopped doing her backup career. She was working as a maid, doing housekeeping.
Wow.
Because she was, just a hard worker, and she wasn't, she thought her career was over with, so she is doing maid work as a domestic. Her mom was a domestic, she was a domestic. Then while she was cleaning a room, her song came on the radio, and the Christmas song, Baby Please Come Home, and she said, you know what, I'm going to go back to singing. Oh, there it is. So then about 30 years ago, she was on she was doing a show. Paul Schaefer from David Letterman was doing a show, and Paul Schaefer invited David Letterman to come and see her. David Letterman saw her, and then for 27 years she was on the David Letterman show doing her Christmas song.
Oh wow.
So now she has this rockin' Christmas show every year, and this year it's at the Cabot. So just for one night only, November 25th. So
there you go. I'm gonna play a little. I'm gonna just play it so
play
people
the
can
beginning.
get it. Ready? Yeah. Oh, we can turn the volume up here.
Yeah. Okay, I'll start. Okay, so there she is. Now you have to guess how old she is there in that picture. Okay, try to guess.
Well, if she was part of one of those, those bands where they had 3 backup singers, I'm thinking black and white, I'm thinking in the 50s. So say she was 18 in the 50s. Well, she's going to be pretty old, right?
She's 70, she's 76 now.
Yeah, wow.
And she looks like...
Yeah, she looks like she's
60,
probably 40, 48 or something.
She's amazing.
Yeah. God bless her.
Yeah,
there you go. Darlene Love. November 25th at the Cabot.
Okay.
So. Got that. The Cape Ann YMCA Taste of Cape Ann. A lot has happened this weekend.
Yes.
Kat, you covered that.
You went to that.
Nicole was at that too, right? And who else was at that? We had a bunch of people there. I didn't realize that they were going.
I don't know. It was so packed. It's I go every year.
Yeah.
It was beautiful, and it was really packed.
You know what I love? I've only gone a couple of years because it's my busy time of year. Yeah. But what I love about it is these restaurants are very generous. What they bring for food and give away for food is beyond generous, right? Wow. But when you consider like the person that's pulling people in, Rick Dowsett.
Yeah.
Rick is like just a man who he's the one who gives back to so many different ways. So you understand why he gets these restaurants on board, right? And Jenna Marrow is part of the planning team or the marketing team of this anyway, because I get press releases from her. But what I want to say is why I love that event so much is some of these restaurants, they put out things and you will try them that you might not necessarily order at their restaurant because it's just not something you would think about, but you try it and you're like, oh my God, I gotta go to that restaurant and try that.
yet.
And a big one from a couple of years ago when I did go was the Azorian, was their octopus. And like they put a char on the octopus, and it was like this most delicious thing. I went and then after that I went to the Azorian because of that. But go ahead.
This year they were next to Italiano, so the chef was in the middle of two booths, and it was funny. He was with the gals on one side, and then he went to the other side. But no, it was packed, and I think they upped their game. I think they really bring significant.
What was interesting to me when I saw the post was about Missy from Missy Salah from Sugar Mags is doing a charcuterie kind of catering board.
Yeah.
Do you see it?
No, I didn't see that.
Did you?
Yeah.
That was your post, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about what she's doing.
She, you get a gorgeous custom carved board, and then she does all the cheese and specialty fig jams and fruit and. To help you with your holiday entertaining, but in this case, you also get to keep this object.
You get to keep the
original.
Do you remember what the name of the new endeavor was? I can find it if you don't know it right off the bat.
But she's still doing sugar magnolias, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. This is just with that.
Okay. What a good idea.
It's a really good idea,
Wow.
and she loves to do it, and it was really reasonable.
Wow.
It's a per price. So if you're having a party of 50,
Is there a picture of it on the blog?
I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find the thing.
Sugar Mag.
Yeah. Well, we love Sugar Mag.
Absolutely.
We love to go there for lunch. It's really.
So you can call there directly to order it.
Driftwood charcuterie boards.
That's right.
There you go.
Okay.
That's what they call them.
on a piece of driftwood.
Yeah, and they give you the piece of what?
Custom carved.
Custom carved thing.
Yeah, like repurposed.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna.
Just
link
party so we can
smart
do
and significant. Yeah. And she had a delicious corn chowder, and they were next to 1606.
Oh,
and
my
1606 had these killer grilled cheese lobster.
Okay, so what were some of your other favorite things?
Feather and wedge had amazing fish with
They
these
did.
light hints of oil, salt, and vegetables. And everyone had something.
Joey mentioned going, and for me, this is also a very slammed time.
Right.
And when I get home, I'm just so tired. Like
Yeah.
I just take a bath, and then I just barely eat dinner, and I just want to go to bed.
Do you know all of your posts? This is something I'm noticing right now. I see for the show notes, I compile the show notes. So what I'll do is I highlight your titles and I put them in. You always capitalize all your titles. Is that something you do? You just generally do?
No. What do you mean? What do I do?
No, she doesn't.
Your Return of the Magnificent Seven, that's all capitalized. Sneak peek of major art show lithographs at Fitzhenry Lane, that's all capitalized. No?
I wonder why it's coming up that. Oh, you know what? When you copy links, it does come out all
Oh,
time.
it's because I copied the link. I copied
but I'm
it.
copying all these
No.
other links for the show notes and they're not coming up that way. Anyway,
I
all
don't
right.
know.
All right. So that's so.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Feather and Wedge did something awesome.
Yes.
They handle fish really well.
Yes, they do.
They don't overdo it,
Yeah.
and they let the fish
That's
speak.
true.
Speaking of fish and things, and Missy Salah again, our friend Jen Cullen,
Yeah.
super fan.
Yeah, she's a super friend of the blog.
She posted a picture on Instagram, I think it was of like a chowder with a piece of salmon on it, like blackened salmon on top of it, like just laid like.
You know,
and
that's a really good idea.
the chowder was thick enough, like with stuff in it to hold the piece of salmon on top.
Did she make it, or did she get?
She got it at Sugar Mags. It was
she-
available at Sugar Mags for
really?
lunch.
What a good idea. Because like chowder, you have chowder, but it's really not enough protein for the whole entire day in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
To have the salmon on
My
top.
God,
Good
it looked amazing.
She's awesome.
She's a very sweet. I think let's shout out to Jen Cullen. She's a very sweet person. She always makes nice comments to everybody.
Jen Cullen, I could hang out with Jen Cullen every day. You nailed it though, because she is. She's a positive person,
very positive
and she's
person.
always pointing out good stuff.
Yeah,
Instead of how certain people's mind dwells in negativity, and certain people's mind, her mind dwells in positivity.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, those are the people you want to surround yourself with, right? Yeah.
I remember meeting her a long time ago at one of EJ's openings, and she was just, just a bubbling, vivacious, full of energy, positive person.
It was kind of the thing with her was she would always say that she was going to show up for everything and then never show up.
Well,
but then every once in a while she does surprise you. She's awesome. We want her around more.
Yeah,
we want more Jen Cullen in our life.
We want more of Jen. But
Yes. Who couldn't do more with Jen Cullen? Okay, I'm going to do a quick run through of Cape Ann Eats posts. Serenitee through November 15th, which is there's 3 days left. For every $100 you spend on Serenitee gift cards, you get a $25 Serenitee gift card back. So that's just 25% savings. That's a no-brainer. Even if you use it for yourself, right? You just have it, and then you save a quarter of your meal. There is. We already talked about the Taste of Cape Ann. We'll do the Cape Ann wellness rundown. CrossFit Cape Ann does a Saturday morning class. It's very inexpensive, and it's a kind of a group class, and you meet people and
Saturday morning.
And it's Saturday mornings, and it's like a doable thing, and it's a kind of a give back thing. So check that out if you ever think about it. Our friend Karen Pischke is doing Reiki for veterans as a program. So she's providing some stuff for. She's always giving of herself.
Yeah, she is.
North Shore Restorative Yoga has weekend workshops. We have if you go to the link.
Where is North Shore Restorative located?
Magnolia.
Oh, in Magnolia. Okay.
Yeah. They have a place in Magnolia.
That's nice.
Yeah. So there is also what is this? Hold on one second. Cape Ann Power Yoga is doing free two-day training sessions for those working with at-risk youth. School teachers, counselors, aides, coaches, community center employees, first responders, law enforcement, etc. They are giving free 2-day trainings at Cape Ann Power Yoga. You can check out that. So I like to highlight the ones where they're giving back, and so you can check that out. We had another big kind of unfolding story for the past 2 weeks. Yeah. Catherine's been covering, and it's so intriguing to me. The SOTHEBY'S, the selling of the Berkshire Museum art, which includes some Rockwells, and you put some pictures of them.
Yes.
Oh, they're so
They're
cool.
beautiful.
They're so cool.
Beautiful.
Give us a little background and tell us where we're at right now.
Okay. So for the past year, the Berkshire Museum has been in the news because they're trying to sell their key signature artworks to raise money for the museum, for an expansion and for a new branding. And
also because they're in financial trouble.
Well, yeah,
yes.
But that's...
Right.
It depends on how you look at it, but I think it's just there's a huge uproar over it, and they contracted with Sotheby's back in the summer, and the art has left the building, so that's a huge point. So the art isn't at Berkshire Museum; it's been at Sotheby's, cataloged and promoted. It's very difficult to litigate and get work back once it's gone. So it was pretty much moving forward to the first sale, which is going to be tomorrow. And then they had sales planned through February of 2018 to disperse 40 works, which were pretty much their most important pieces. And last week, it came to a head between the Berkshire Museum litigating to make sure they could continue to sell, and then opponents hoping to block it. And some of them were Norman Rockwell family members were suing. The Massachusetts Attorney General Office joined that suit, and then there were 2 others. And they met last Wednesday, and the Judge Agostini, for that ruling, sided with the continuance to sell at Sotheby's, and which was kind of expected, but was upsetting. And then, since the first sale was tomorrow, was going to have the 2 Norman Rockwells, which might be the ones that would fetch the most money. Hopefully, they were hoping for over $30 million from just those 2. The AGO, everybody last week was waiting for Maura Haley's office.
The directors could really continue being directors for a while with $30 million, I think.
Exactly.
Well, anyhow, so we were waiting for a response, and there was you couldn't hear a pin drop all week from the Attorney General's office, probably because they were waiting till the last minute on Friday as a legal move to get all their release.
Can I stop you for a second? Do you know how much do the directors make per year?
This director
of that place. Well, I'd like you to expose that number for me. It has to be a record, right? Do they have to keep?
Yeah.
They have to keep. That is. I think that would be a very. Yeah. I think that would be a very important point of this thing. Well, I would like to know how big this museum is. And how much the directors make per year.
Well, wait, let me just bring you right through to the end of the week, then we'll get to that. Okay. So the AGO, we were on pins and needles waiting to see if the Attorney General's office would fight this decision, which was a crazy long decision, 27 pages, which had a lot of interesting points, but also a lot of personal attacks against the AGO. And they did. They came and fought it on Friday, and they are blocking the sale with an injunction, an option for an injunction based on really cases from the 80s, corporate cases, with an employee leaving a business and taking, like, not even an art-related case, but it helps them be able to stop the sale temporarily while they build their case. So it does not mean that it's going to open up and never be sold again. It means that it's in holding and it's going to be litigation that could be years.
And so will they bring it back will they bring the paintings back?
Well, I'm trying to figure that out. So I'm working on trying to figure out what's happening. They were taken down from the Sotheby's walls.
Oh, they were?
But I doubt very much that they will be back.
So is it one of those things like possession is 90% of the law, or how does that saying go?
Yeah, that's an adage for sure. Yeah. And I think it comes into play, but again, they can fight it both ways. It's going to be a long litigation.
All right. Will you be able to find out what the director, how much?
Oh yeah, I don't have the number off the top of my head, but they have all their public filings because they have a nonprofit status.
Right.
So that is all filed.
But
right now, the director that was the acting director is on sick leave, and there are two co-directors that were just put in place this month, October 2017.
Oh my God.
So the director in the middle of this has left the building, but this is really.
Very intriguing.
Right now, the trustees have the standing in some legal analysis, and how much money does the AGO have to fight in litigation?
So is that? So I just want to ask. There's a few questions.
It's in limbo.
It's in limbo. There's a few things that I just would like you to expound on.
Yep, I'll come back with the director's salary.
Say you are a person in possession of some works that you think should be displayed at a museum. You think that they're worthy and they're incredible, and you'd like to donate them. Mm-hmm. What steps can you go through to protect that? It can either the art that you are donating to the museum either is displayed at the museum, stored at the museum, or if they ever decide to sell it, that it goes back to within the family,
the heirs. Mm-hmm.
The heirs. Is there a mechanism to prevent what is happening in the Berkshires with these Rockwells?
No. The short answer is no. The long answer is there are major contracts, often heavily benefiting the museums, that speak to this, because things do happen over time. You need to expand, collection interests are different, but it turns out when you go back and study the case laws, even airtight contracts are broken.
So this does not bode well for museums getting very special pieces in the future.
It doesn't, and it also.
Yeah, why would you give it?
Yeah.
Well, but it
So it could be-
could. So this is where I'm actually hopeful, because I think, which I just think is so Norman Rockwell, like, of all the artwork to bring a lot of people's attention to it, to a complicated issue that's going on and is fractious, you know, can it bring light and make an easier path so that, you know, AG budgets that can't possibly take
When
on
you say AG,
Attorney General offices
Yeah.
across states, you know, with little budgets, don't have to take on, you know, mega collectors or institutions and law firms when they're doing, you know, when they're trying to protect the public's right to have these repositories.
Well, you know, okay, I'm gonna just little devil's advocate.
Definitely.
If you are, you know, when you make this decision to give it to whoever you give it to, you know, you're hoping that they have the best interests of this work, right?
You hope.
You hope, right?
Right.
But you
hope when you give it to a public museum, you hope that it is viewed by the public and not go into the hands of somebody where it's just going to hang on their wall and they're going to be the only person who ever looks at it. When you give something that's special like that, whether it's you know, a portrait of a founding father of the community, or whether it's, you know, something like a Norman Rockwell or a modern piece, you hope that it's viewed and learned from and, you know, seen by the general public. You don't want it to go. You don't give it so that the museum can sell it.
No.
That would be liquid.
Right.
Can I say one thing that's really interesting about the Norman Rockwell from
Yeah.
last week?
Yeah.
So Judge Agostini is the judge last week at the Berkshires that made the decision that said these can go for sale. So the the Attorney General's office did not make the case for him, and he said no way. And now I blanked on my foot. Keep going.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, I just kind of feel like
can I add
Yeah,
something?
go ahead.
Yeah. So Catherine knows that the Berkshire Museum hired me to make the Monarch film a couple of years ago, and so we've been to the Berkshire. I've been to the museum several times, and Tom came with me, and I'll never forget him standing in front of the Norman Rockwell for like 15 minutes. Just
Wow,
like,
yeah. Well, there's a
you
lot
know,
in those
I mean,
paintings
It was just so
take in.
beautiful. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, and that's why people go to this museum. I mean,
Is it a
that's
big
why-
museum?
No, it's a very small museum. It's a little big. Wouldn't you say it's a little bigger than the Cape Ann Museum? So,
Well, now I remember what I was going to say. So this is what came out in the legal briefs last week that I did not know, because you don't know the behind the scenes, you know, letters that went from the artist to the museum. And so for the Norman Rockwell gifts were given because he was friends with the director, who's, you know, long gone. And it was for the permanent collection. And it even did include, if it didn't go through, he was starting to develop the Norman Rockwell Museum itself in the Berkshires.
in the Berkshires, right?
But he didn't have faith that was going to maybe stand. Like, how would that foundation go? So the foundation that he set up for his own work, you know, because he was successful. Not many artists have these resources.
Right.
So he's setting that up. The default was to go to the Pittsfield Museum. That's how much he cared about the Pittsfield Museum. If his foundation museum didn't last, they would go there.
Wow.
So
Wow.
the irony that here we are decades later,
Right.
and it's the Pittsfield Museum that's
That's selling
undoing
them
it,
out, yeah.
That's
and really
selling
it
them
could
out,
go
right.
to
Right.
that one.
Then the Norman Rockwell Museum.
Yeah.
Right. Oh.
And here, you know, I really
that's so
advocate for
sad.
local artists who start to pick up and to build a reputation to give back to their communities.
Right.
You know, and he did.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
how can we stop anybody from ever getting rid of our Fitzhenry Lane painting?
well, I think this case might really help. Put a, you know, or I'm so happy that it was blocked and it's going to be opened up. Because last week's decision would have sent most nonprofits, museums, collections scurrying to go pay for major legal offenses, legal.
Okay.
They'd have to rewrite all their legal.
They'd be digging through their papers to prove all the provenances and to make new airtight contracts, and it's just a bunch of work that they already don't have
The
Money to
funds
pay
for
for.
do that.
or
Yeah.
the time,
It's just
and
money
they
that's
could
gonna-
be showing
gonna-
stuff.
that could go towards
Right.
putting on great exhibits, but now you got to do all this background stuff. All right.
So,
Well, there you go. Thank you for.
so we love Norman Rockwell.
Thank you for
I think
keeping
it's the best one for it.
This is great. This
But
is
time
great.
and time again, we see the museums selling off their acquisitions to either expand or, you know what I mean? And
Or
it's
pay
just-
directors
or
for
pay
the next 30 years.
directors. Right. No, it's
I
I think you're right.
I mean, who
So-
knows? Who knows what it is for?
Anyway.
We just conjecture. Speaking of museums, the lithographs of Fitzhenry Lane at Cape Ann Museum. Can you talk about that?
Yes. You just go see it. It's up.
Is it playing right now?
It's up right now. It's almost a complete retrospective. He was a phenomenal printmaker, and as well as a painter and everything else. And to have that all up in one room with their major Lane painting collection and be able to go back and forth and just see it is fantastic. And they already had, which I haven't posted yet, they had an incredible print symposium, world-class print symposium, and people came in for the weekend to, really study and listen to fantastic lectures and brought in really important curators. And
When I'm retired, I'm gonna spend a lot of time there.
yeah.
I just can't wait to have the kind of time to take advantage of all these resources. You know, the people that say there's nothing going on here, there's nothing to do here. You're just like, shut up!
I know.
Yeah,
Like
no,
all this awesome
I know.
stuff
this is major,
Right.
and it's right there.
It's right
there.
Right.
So blessed.
Right.
So they're doing the opposite of what they did. How did the Cape Ann Museum fund their big expansion that they had, or renovation they had a couple years ago? Where'd that money come
they
from?
have a very talented, hardworking, staff and supporters.
Right.
So
And
they're a great example. But I want to make sure
The polar
They were-
opposite.
they-
the
I want to make sure
Berkshire.
they aren't put in an example of having to pay all these legal fees to go back and do all
They
this.
weren't
Yeah.
in debt. You know what I mean? They're not in debt. It's very well managed there. So
There you go. I'd like to do a shout out to David Cox, specifically for his recent
About Town.
series, the About
Town.
Town
Town.
series.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
Me too.
I love it. There's he doesn't have to put captions or anything. He's always out and about, and there's little things that might not warrant a whole post, or unlike how Manny does 3 posts of just people.
Yeah.
Which is nice, and everybody really enjoys the Pink
Oh,
Gloucester
yeah.
Smiles thing and stuff.
Yeah.
But David's compiling 10 word on each of them would be worthy of a post.
Yes.
But puts them in all one
Yeah.
thing. Oh, I know that
His
guy. Oh,
interest.
this is great. Look at what happened here. Look at that beautiful duck scene or whatever.
Yeah.
So shout out to David Cox, our pal.
Yeah.
Kim, I asked you earlier in the week to provide me with a banner so people will know where to go to donate to your film project.
right, I really appreciate that.
And you did it. We put it stickied in the top post, and it's also in the show notes here.
Yeah, thank
Donate.
you.
It says donate to Kim Smith's Monarch Butterfly movie, and you can just click on that, and it'll bring you to the place where you can.
Thank you very much for doing that. That's really
No
nice.
big deal.
Yeah.
Tell us, just quickly, anything recent happening with that?
With the Monarch Migration? Oh, it's very exciting.
With the
With the film fundraising?
film fundraising.
Yes, I'm up to almost $24,000, so it's very exciting. And I'm so appreciative to everybody in the community. I just get these lovely notes and letters, and it's just very rewarding.
Oh my God!
I'm sorry,
Again.
it's very rewarding.
You start
so.
crying every time.
Yeah, I don't know what it is lately. I'm sorry. It's
Well,
getting
you've had some. There's a lot. The support you've received is just so it's in your. I'm going to speak for you, right? Just let me see, and you correct me if I'm wrong because I don't think you can get through it without bawling your eyes out. So the support for this film is a reaffirmation of how people have received it, how people are vested into it, vested into it emotionally and interest-wise, and some very generous donors that the money that has been flowing in is an affirmation that there really is something here. You knew this, but it's a reaffirmation.
I've been following monarchs in Cape Ann wildlife since 2006, really. So it's just, and there's so much beauty that goes on here every day. And I mean, I could make a film a year about everything that goes on around here. I mean, it's just it's so amazing. So I'm very, very deeply touched, and it's very inspiring too. So,
what are some of the things that people can do as far as give backs? Like, so if some people donate, I forgot what they were, but did you have a thing where there's private screenings or something like that?
So what I thought would be a really good thing to keep everybody together, I've made this big, huge master list of everybody who's donated to the film. And so all these people, I think the minimum donation was $20, will all be invited to initial screenings of the film. So and they're the people who are extra interested, I know, so they'll want to, I would love their feedback and their, reviews and things like that. So that's why I did that thing about the preview thing. Like, there are all kinds of, I really researched, this might be interesting to people in general about fundraising platforms like Indiegogo and Kickstarter, but those are all very rewards based. Like, you donate this amount and you get a t-shirt, and then you donate this amount and you get a t-shirt and a coffee cup. Right, and I'm thinking, how could I possibly do that and still have time to make a film? You know what I mean? It's just incredibly time consuming, where Network for Good is really just very perfectly designed especially for filmmakers, I think, because it allows you to take that time that you would be spending creating all these, giveaways, to spend it on the film, making the most beautiful film that you can, and that's what people really care about, and that's what people really want to see. So, anyways, it's been, I just can't say enough that it's just been a very, very rewarding, and I'm very grateful to our community. Very grateful.
Love it.
Well, and the community will be grateful for you when you do it.
This film, when it's made, can you imagine when it ends up going like all the school children that'll end up being able to see it?
That's who I'm making it for. There is, I think kids are just such little sponges about this.
Probably 6 or 7 years ago, Kim had my daughters over. They were young at the time, and she gave them a little lesson, and believe me, that's stuck with them, boy. That's stuck with them. They loved it. Last week, we had the heavy duty windstorm.
With the sou'easter.
With the sou'easter.
Yeah.
Catherine, you were saying you lost your power for how long?
This was
several days, and my Wi-Fi
this
longer.
Was an additional. This was an additional storm, right? Was this the original storm?
The original storm we lost, and then we lost it again for another day when I put that post, which I didn't know that website. Did you guys know that?
Is that the one that Sefathia
It's like FEMA, but it's MEMA. No, she didn't send it. I was trying to, because I didn't know my husband's Social Security number, and he was traveling off the top of my head, and I was handling stuff, and you need that to go through to make a repair call. National Grid.
Really?
Well, you needed to know your account number or your, the Social Security or this.
Well, I'll tell you, there's
for Christ's sakes, it's out. Just write it down.
Right, you can't.
I'm going to tell you this, just so you know this. This is everybody should have this app on their phone, because you don't think about it until you need it. National Grid has a power outage map app.
Yeah, Cliff has it on his phone.
didn't do any good. But it's fantastic for A, reporting power outages, but B, it updates with how fewer and projected time till if you have an outage, when that area will be most likely repaired.
That's feeding into the state one. So the state one has all of it. So it was, and I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to download an app. I just went.
Oh, okay. Good to bookmark that.
Yeah, it was on my phone.
So do you think you lost your power because of the sou'easter, and then things were just weakened, or it was just another storm?
I have no idea.
Polar results. Wow.
But it was Rockport and here.
Wow.
I gotta look that up.
Yeah, because you're right on the board.
What was the search term that I would look for that?
I think it was MEMA, Massachusetts Emergency something. It was really good. It's not come in?
No.
Did you spell it out, or did you say MEMA?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were looking.
What search term were you?
Power outage.
Okay.
That was in the title.
Do you have a generator?
No, we
don't.
don't.
Have a generator?
I don't have a generator.
Oh, but you have wood burning. You have.
Yeah. No, I have a wood burning stove, which we've run for the last 2 days straight, and it's been awesome. I'm so happy I finally got to use it. In my old house, there was always talk of getting a generator.
Yeah,
and my next door neighbor had a generator.
Yeah.
And are you guys familiar with this? In my new house, actually, my next door neighbor has a generator as well. So when there is a power outage and your next door neighbor's
it's very loud.
thing, you know what? I when there's a power outage, it does not bother me that these people use these generators. I understand why they use them, and I fully endorse their right to use the thing. Internally, it is frustrating to know that the person next to you is warm and toasty and their food isn't getting moldy while you are freezing and without power and the internet and everything else. That's the only part. It's like, so when that happens and you hear it automatically kick in next door, it's like, I don't care what it would cost at that moment. If you could just like flip a switch and the money would leave your bank account, but you would have the generator go on, I think like a bazillion people would do that. But then you get the power back and you forget about like having the thing installed and everything.
So you would be okay as far as heat wise goes, because you have your fireplace and you have your wood burning stove, right? So we would be stuck if we lost our power, because we would not have heat. And Tom's business is 100% on the internet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we would be stuck, even though his computer is battery operated. So I have really thought about getting a generator, but like Joey said, I haven't done it.
I just put a link. It's MEMA, MEMA.mapsonline.net. Everybody. So that's a great thing. Go to on your search engine on your phone, right?
Right.
You type that in, you get to that site, and then there's the little button that says share, and then you can add it to your home screen.
Okay.
So that's a great thing to have. That's a good way to put those things on. So anyway, that's a great GloucesterCast. GloucesterCast, the number is 252. GloucesterCast 252.
Wow. Okay,
we're just rocking now. Kim and Catherine, thank you guys for coming. This is another great podcast.
Yeah,
in the books.
Great.